Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the pre-show discussion of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I am Echo Ninja, and this is my best friend Chad, aka the Political Shield. That's right. And speaking of shields, we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier coming this Friday. And of course, we're going to watch it and discuss it and, hype on the train about it. As everybody can see, I'm wearing my Falcon and Winter Soldier shirt. Just got it today. Thank you, Amazon. But let's get started with today's topics. So I just recently rewatched all three Captain America movies, and holy shnikes, there's a lot of stuff that they could use. I'm hoping they might use with this movie. And a lot of things I'm probably going to mention, I have a feeling Black Widow is going to touch up on as well. But let's just get started on the obvious things. Of course, this takes place after the 5-year, the whole 5 years thing, after Endgame and stuff like that. We are not sure how long the timeline is in this one, whether it's a month or a couple of weeks like WandaVision. We're not entirely sure. But according to the director, she says that people are still trying to kind of live in this post-snapped or post-blip world with everybody coming back and everything. So now that 5 years have gone by and people are just starting to get used to things, now all these people want to come back, and it's like, well, damn, now we got to set up things for these people and everything like that. And then like old Cap is old now. So, and I have a slight feeling, before I say this, even though these are speculations and everything like that, spoiler alert, just in case we are right about anything. But you have been warned. So I have this feeling that the first episode that we're going to see, because I know certain YouTubers have already seen the first episode because they have the ins and the outs and we don't, but it's okay. But I have a feeling that Steve Rogers it's basically gonna pass away. Basically, there's going to be a memorial for him because, there's been pictures showing like not Bucky, Sam with in a suit and tie, like in a big hall with all these memorabilia and stuff like that, and he's making a speech. I have a feeling that he's basically, gonna pass away, which kind of makes sense, because the world more than ever is needing an icon, a new icon to threshold across the world. And Secretary Ross now can think about getting someone who he can control. So they got what's his name, John Walker, who's the U.S. agent, but he's not called U.S. agent yet in this show. He will be called Captain America until he fucks up a lot. And basically, Bucky and Sam needs to save the day. But also you got the Flag Smashers, who basically the character Flag Smasher is an old Captain America enemy in the comics, but they made Flag Smasher into a group, which is interesting. They made them like a radicalist group. They want to bring down all of these flag nations and put everything under one, because have everyone under one goal, since everybody's trying to become one goal now. But they're trying to get rid of all the national flags of the world and stuff like that and have everybody under one. Now, it's nice on paper, but then They go about it the wrong way. How do you, as a, of course, as an military officer, how do you feel about groups like that who want to do the right thing, but do it in the most radically wrong way?
They're a terrorist organization. Plain and simple. There's no, for anybody who's a Beverly Hills Cop fan, if you ever watch the third one, there's a song where a guy is saying, trying to do the right thing, but he keep doing it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Perfect.
And if you are a video game fan, and I know my boy, he'll know exactly what I'm about to say. If you play the game Ace Combat Zero, there's a station called A World Without Borders.
Yes.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
So I can see a lot of problems with an organization like that. The concept of a world without borders, or nations without borders, and we're living under one new world order for life. Causes a little bit of a problem. Because you got, and I can see how an organization like that is probably going to be a cult, a terrorist organization mixed in with a cult.
Right.
Type issue, and yeah, that's gonna be a problem.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that, because like, you can go about things so much easier if you just try not to take the shortcut way and kill everything in sight. but here's a strange thing that I found out from seeing the trailers. I don't know if you've seen any of the trailers for it.
Oh, I have.
But the Flag Smashers, they're like hyper jumping in the air, like they got some abilities, like, and that kind of brings me to my next thing, the legacy of the super soldier serum. That's a lot of S's. Now, the whole aspect of the super soldier serum was basically done back in the 1940s, in the height of the World War II. And it was, if I am saying this right, it was done by Abraham Erskine, Dr. Abraham Erskine. I think that's the guy's name. He's a guy who basically, he's the German scientist who defected and helped the Americans trying to make Operation Rebirth, which is Steve Rogers. Now, according to the comics, there's a book, very good book, that I actually read this weekend. It's called Truth, Red, White, and Black. It's a 7-issue limited series that came out in 2003, and it basically tells the hidden story of Isaiah Bradley, who was literally the first superhero. He was the first Captain America. And the coolest, the most interesting, I guess I should say, idea that they used with this is, if I want to correct myself, they used the what is that thing called? It was a Tuscan. I forgot the actual name of it, but it's an actual. It was actually something that happened back in the day, where they were taking blood samples from Black people or something like that, or using them as subjects.
Tuskegee experiment.
Thank you. That's the one. And they incorporated that in the story of Isaiah Bradley, using that event as the test of the first super soldier serum. And he's basically had everything, all the abilities that Steve Rogers had. He was just black. And his something, I'm not entirely, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened at the very end of the book, but basically, basically something happened. Of course, he basically got older. Well, not got older. He served. They say he served like 17 years in solitary confinement, and his body slowly started to deteriorate due to unseen side effects of the super soldier serum. And of course, he wasn't the perfect specimen. So he was only released because a certain character wrote to President Eisenhower a letter like every month for like 3 years, and then in 1960, what's the name? Isaiah was granted full pardon and sworn into secrecy by Kennedy, when Kennedy was inaugurated, and then he was like basically kind of never to be seen again. After that, he was literally wiped out of the history books for what he did. And Captain America, Steve Rogers, kind of got all the praise and stuff like that when he was out there. So literally both of them were out there at the same time, which is crazy. But I don't know how but according to the director, she said that she wanted to not just focus on the legacy of Captain America, of kind of not just withholding the symbolism of the shield, but also with Sam thinking about how it would be to be a black man in this iconic like symbol in this new world. How would they accept that, and she wants to really dig deep into something like that to show a real story on how that can be placed out into the real world, and I feel that's why I feel that what's his name, Carl Lumpley, who I believe is going to be Isaiah Thomas. Wow, Isaiah Bradley. And I feel that he's kind of going to give him I guess, the brunt end of his experience, but still kind of give him that uplifting moment of, it's time to shine. It's your time to shine now. It's your time to show people not just what a black man can do, but what a man can do in a time of crisis like this. There's always been a Captain America in every crisis, and they need one now. And the one that we got is kind of a jerk. But yeah, the truth, red, white, and black. I definitely recommend you. It's a good read on Isaiah Bradley. Really good read for that one. Another thing that I noticed when I went to watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the scene where where they show the Stark's death scene. Bucky opens the trunk of Stark's car, and there's a metal suitcase. And he opens the metal suitcase, and there's like there's blue pouches in there, which they used for the super soldiers, that the other Winter Soldiers that they were making, who they were testing on Bucky, and then they went all crazy and all crazy and shit, and then they froze them. My whole thing is, I wonder, do you think, if you remember that scene, do you think that they use all of it? And if they didn't, where do you think they could? Where do you think those other pouches could have gone? I have my own speculation, but I want to ask you first.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about that just the other day, and trying to remember what the original order of everything was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I think that the package that you were talking about plays out more in the Black Widow movie.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that was kind of in my head too. Yeah.
I can see that. I can see them harkening back to that in the Black Widow movie, which would make sense because her whole family were all, Russian or Soviet at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And if Soviet packets, they're going to use it on them. They're not going to share their secret at all. And to go backwards, just for people to understand,
Mm-hmm.
the experiment was an experiment that ran from like the mid 40s all the way up until the early 70s. We're talking about 30 years worth. And this is what happened. They took Black people, black men and women.
300 African American soldiers.
That is correct. And the soldiers thought that they were being treated for syphilis. And they were actually being experimented on. They were being injected with different types of diseases. And I don't know how many people died, but they got monitored over a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that that Marvel, as far as I'm concerned, was bold enough to incorporate real life situation to the super serum. I give Marvel kudos for that, like real talk,
because honestly that's just brave to
they
do.
got respect for that at all. And to be able,
seriously,
and to be able to incorporate that for the super soldier serum, that to me that makes sense to a certain degree. The only thing is I have a hard time imagining, it was a dangerous experiment, but they knew if it worked, that the possibility of getting a strong super soldier was a great possibility. Why would you want a strong Black man as your strong soldier at that period in time? Like,
I got a counter for that one. Reason why they possibly did it, they didn't want to test it on the white people back then first.
True, I can understand that. I'm just saying, but if they were successful, they would have to be eventually successful. One of the experiments would have to be successful. Now you have to worry, oh, wait a minute, I just made this Black dude.
Yeah. But according to Isaiah Bradley, it was successful, except for the fact that he was suffering from mental illness. He was deteriorating.
Right.
And the scientist who developed it needed to perfect it somehow. And I mean, and correction, the experiment had 600 African American men from Alabama who were lied to under the promise of free health care from the government into receiving no treatment of syphilis. So the consequences of the disease, when untreated for 40 years, could be observed.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's super crazy. And and that's just insane.
So when Kanye came out and said that the government gave Black people AIDS, he was wrong, but he wasn't crazy.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. He was wrong, but he wasn't crazy. But now going back on the super soldier thing, and like you said, how it would they would speak more about the serum in Black Widow. There's a few characters, and one of them I'm thinking about who was also, I think, introduced also around the same era as Winter Soldier and the Red Room Assassins, which is where Black Widow comes from. There's a few departments around the world who use these uh, special programs, which is called which use one special program under one umbrella. It was called the Weapons Plus program. Now, the Weapons Plus program is, of course, where Weapon One, Steve Rogers, Project Rebirth, came from, and Isaiah came from as well. But also well known for Weapon 10 or Weapon X, Wolverine came from. Now, according to Marvel, the Weapons Plus program was secretly kept from official parts of the government, and was privately funded through other sources of organizations and all this other jazz. And in Canada, there was Department X. In Russia, there was Department K. And Department K was, of course, I would believe it may mean KGB, but they had Omega Red and a branch and another program added there was the Red Room program, which was where Black Widow came from. So I feel that they synthesized one of the pouches to share amongst the five Winter Soldiers that they had in the movie, and possibly left a little bit more for different organizations to try out different forms of what they can come up with, such as I'm feeling the Flag Smashers. That's one, and possibly Team X, who is also. And now I know I'm going pretty far with this, and I know they don't have anybody for Wolverine casted yet, but I'm not thinking of Wolverine. Now there's other characters that Wolverine worked with, other than Sabretooth, of course, and I'm not even thinking about him. There's people like Maverick. Maverick is pretty much like the Solid Snake of like the X-Men world, and I feel that it'll be cool if they introduced him in this, but I'm not like putting all my eggs in one basket type thing. But there's also this one guy named William Burnside. William Burnside is actually, believe it or not, he was a Captain America at a time. But later on, he became something called the Grand Dictator. He was basically a white supremacist, who was also part of a group with what's his name, Johann Finhoff, or Dr. What's his name, Dr. Fustus? Yeah, they were part of a group called the National Forces, basically like a neo-Nazi group. Now I know they're not going to go into neo-Nazism and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they're dealing with race in this show, so who knows what they'll deal with. But I do think that the Thunderbolts might have a thing with this one, because you got Zemo, and Zemo in this show, well, in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, hates anyone with powers, all superheroes basically. But I have this thing that he's going to, of course, he's going to have this thought of, okay, maybe I failed at doing this by myself, even though I got them split up, but they came back anyway. So I should get my own team together, type thing, And maybe he'll just kind of make a team later on, even though but then again, there's like photos of him working with Falcon and Winter Soldier, which is odd. So it's like, who knows? Maybe he's just using them for a benefit or something like that. We don't know. What how do you feel about the factor of other things in play with this show? What do you feel what else this show is going to kind of dig into?
Well, since they're talking about the Weapons Plus program, and we already know this is now we're going to talk about stuff that we know.
Yeah.
Kevin Feige has already said that he's going to do a Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
So that's already been confirmed, and we know he's going to do it, and that's his plan to do it. So I can see that being incorporated in here. Maybe putting a back door for how they may introduce Deadpool into the MCU, right?
Right.
Two, I want them to talk a little bit more about the Sokovia Accords.
That's another thing I want to talk to you about, but go ahead, continue.
And here's why. Because they made mention to the Sokovia Accords in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
They made mention to it in WandaVision, which is why the dude, the sword guy, that's why he was arrested.
Yeah.
Back and look at that episode, because I was trying to figure out under what guise was the FBI arresting him, and under what legal. He broke the Sokovia Accords for what he envisioned.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay. So then I'm starting watching the trailers to Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I said, okay. So I already know that the Sokovia Accords are still in effect. They're still legal. So if that is true, and Winter Soldier, Bucky, and Sam, Falcon, are about to do a mission, obviously they're doing it for the government, and they're using the Sokovia Accord to do that mission.
Possibly.
So,
but don't you think that they were originally against it? Do you think that they could be doing it under their own accord?
Nah, I don't. Looking at the trailer. I'm looking at the trailer.
No, I got you. I got you.
And just looking at how they're in a government facility when they're doing their counseling, their couples counseling, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They're on a government airplane when they were having that conversation. Well, you don't have a plan. You don't get to call me Bucky. That was a government airplane.
That was, yeah. That was actually that was a military that was a military was it cargo plane, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the whole big picture. So if they're on that, right, two things come to mind. That one, they've been pardoned.
Mm-hmm.
Had to have been pardoned.
Right.
And
not only for saving the universe.
Right. And not only have they been pardoned, they have already been accepted into the fold of working for the government, which then leads into the third thing. Dude who ends up becoming U.S. agent.
Oh, John Walker.
Thank you, Walker. So that is going to explain where Walker is going to come in, and this is why, because as we saw at the end of Endgame, right? Rogers gave the shield to Sam, and basically said to Sam, "This is yours."
Yeah. This
is yours.
And Sam did say, he was like, "I'll do my best." And he was like, "I know you will."
But the government is not gonna like. But as you talked about, Thunderbolt is not gonna like the fact that.
No.
And he don't see Captain America as having the authority to pass the mantle, because in his eyes, that's for the American government to do.
And Captain America is American property, so.
Exactly. So now you got Sam and Bucky, who are trying to make sure that the legacy not of Captain America, but of Steve Rogers alive versus the forces of Ross, who is going to be, who wants to have control and be like, you are a government agent, you are Captain America, you work for the U.S. government, and that's a clash. It's the clash of and this is where and you can see that in today's world right now, the ideals of America versus the reality of America.
Right. Yeah.
So Sam and Bucky is going to be fighting for the idea, and Ross is this is what it really is, and that's what I think that's what the show is going to be about.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, because I mean, the show, of course, is on. Of course, we all know that the whole factor of U.S. agent becomes the new Cap, but then of course something's going to go wrong and blah blah blah. But you got Zemo, who I'm sure has his own agenda throughout this whole thing. Then you got the Flag Smashers, who are of course against the government. So you got all these different factors, and then you got the legacy of Captain America all in play. And it's like, I almost feel that they gave Bucky and Sam like a babysitting job almost. Kind of in a way, since they've been on a field that John Walker hasn't been on, the field of being the superheroes and stuff like that. They probably gave him that bullshit babysitting job to be like, all right, look after him, but don't get in his way type stuff, and then he's probably just gonna go haywire, and at the end, because I'm sure the way they're gonna play it, because how the director again says and from what I've been hearing, this show is very character driven. So everyone is basically going to shine. Every main character is basically going to shine, especially Sam and Bucky. I mean, Bucky is still trying to figure out how to be now he's trying to figure out how to be a civilian now. There's like no war for him. He was built for war basically, and now he has nothing. Doesn't even have his own best friend anymore. All he has is Sam. And they both hate each other half of the time. And Sam is trying to deal with the weight of the Captain America icon, But I have a feeling that, eventually, like he is spiritually the next Captain America. And I feel that in the beginning, he's going to let it go easy, to the point where he's like, I'm not ready for it. I don't want it. Maybe they're right, blah, 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 this and that. And I feel that Bucky might change that onto him. He's going to tell him, same. And there's also hype, even though this is not a DC video, but the same thing with the whole Batman mythos. It's not the man that's the thing that people look for. It's the symbol that's important. And that's the same thing with Captain America. No one should care about the man. It's the symbol that's what's important. And the person who wears the symbol has to respect that symbol before anything. The symbol means the people. It doesn't just mean the country, it means the people that live in it as well. And, for someone who probably is going to be power hungry like John Walker, about the whole iconography of the power of Captain America, in his head. And of course, he's going to get a piece of the super soldier serum to make him true Cap, even though it's not a good serum, because it's not going to be perfect. Exactly. Guy's going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs at the end, But I have a feeling that they're also going to give us a conflicting relationship with John Walker. It's almost like we're going to feel bad for him, but then we're going to ultimately not like him. And it's almost going to be to a point where it's like, holy crap, I don't know how to feel about this guy. Like, I feel bad that he's gone through all of this and he kind of didn't know what he was getting into. But then I'm going to be like, well, this guy doesn't deserve to be Captain America, period. And which is how I think the government's still going to use him, but to set up Thunderbolts with Thunderbolt Ross, of course, and Zemo. And he's going to turn into U.S. agent, where he becomes just a black ops like assassin almost. I mean, and it almost makes perfect sense. It's right up Ross's alley. He's like, if I can't make you public, I'm going to use you for something else then. He doesn't want to prove he doesn't want to be proven wrong that he made a mistake. So, final thoughts before the days get here for Falcon and Winter Soldier. What's your final thoughts?
I'm excited. I'm waiting. I'm so Friday can't come fast enough.
Yeah.
Because God knows Captain America. So if everybody know, Captain America is my favorite superhero, and because of what Captain America symbolizes, right.
He's like true patriotism.
And I'm all about the ideal of the United States. The United States isn't perfect. By no means is it perfect, and I know more than many the realities of the United States, but I will fight and give my life for the ideals of what America could become. And that's what it's about. And I think that's where the tension is going to come in, especially with Sam. Because if you look at Endgame, right, Bucky knew what Rogers was going to do.
Oh yeah.
And because you had Banner and Sam freaking out. He was chill. He knew he turned around and he knew exactly where to look. And he said, "Hey, Sam, hey, somebody needs you."
He's like, "Go ahead, that's you, bro."
and when Sam received the shield, he looked back at Bucky, and
he nodded.
He gave his approval. So yeah, they may not like each other, but I know that Bucky probably feels that if Rogers gave Sam the shield, then he is deserving. He is worthy.
Right. He's worthy of it.
He is worthy of that shield. And what he's going to try to do, in my opinion, and like I said, they ain't going to get along. It's going to be funny. They're going to end up becoming friends.
It's like a buddy cop film. That's how it's going to be. Like Lethal Weapon.
I already know it. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be the Riggs and Murtaugh of Marvel. But what it's going to be, like, Bucky going to talk mad smack, but he's also going to tell Sam, dude, you already got this. I'm just here to tell you that you got this. You already got it. Like, and I'm going to be here to back you up because you got it. Nah, Bucky, I don't got it. You can't call me Bucky until you realize you got it.
That's true. Because he did say when he was like, oh, Bucky, he's like, don't call me Bucky. He was like, but Cap calls me Bucky. He's like, that's because me and him know each other very long. You can't call me that. Oh, but yeah, I'm very excited. Like this was, even though, like I'm gonna be real. I didn't know what WandaVision was gonna be when I first heard about it, so I wasn't excited for it as much. This show, I was ecstatic for because, as I've repeatedly said, with any Marvel stuff that we were talking that I've talked about over this channel, Captain America, the Winter Soldier is my favorite MCU movie ever. Like it, I'm a huge spy espionage, like all out action, full of exposition, twists, and plots. I love that shit. It's like some of my favorite stuff. That's why the Captain America series in the MCU was like, it was nearly flawless because each one got better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was almost the only trilogy within the MCU that got better with each movie, you know. And, you know, Captain America, what's her name played an amazing Captain America, an amazing Steve Rogers. He gave that personality, you know, that fish out of water when he got to the 21st century. And, you know, his no nonsense, it's either this way or that way. There's no middle in between. You know, we don't give up on people. We're going to do this. You know, he's that type of person. He doesn't leave anybody behind just to save one thing. He doesn't keep secrets because the truth is what matters to him. You know, that's what he stands for. He stands for truth, justice, and the American way, you know. And I feel that this show is gonna do exactly what the Winter Soldier movie did for me. It did for Captain America. It literally crumbled the entire idea, American Pie idea, and brought it down to a point where he realized that there's something. He's like, there's more of a realistic view of things now that I have to see. And it's not the way the 40s used to be. It's not the way it was when I was younger, you know, when I was punching Nazis in the face type thing. Everything's a gray line, and I have to learn that. And he learned that in Civil War
Mm-hmm.
when he became the enemy, basically, the enemy of the state, basically. And then in Infinity War, you saw him. He was all like, "I'm not about the stars and stripes anymore. I'm just about the people. This is me defending people, defending the world, because that's what matters. That's what I'm here for, you know." Yeah, and I feel that Sam has that. He almost embodies that in himself. Um, being an Air Force veteran himself and stuff like that, losing his wingman, knowing the trials of PTSD and all that other stuff, and knowing that darkness can loom all the time, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And Bucky sure as hell knows it. The guy has been living a nightmare for 70 years, and he's still trying to redeem himself. Even though everyone else who knows him feels that he doesn't feel that he's redeemed himself enough. And that's another reason why he probably himself felt that Sam deserved it too, because he's all like, I don't deserve something like that. You know, I'm I'm not worthy of that as much as Sam is, you know. And it's really cool that almost Bucky is kind of teaching Sam how to be a better Captain America physically, while Sam already has
Mm-hmm.
the mental thoughts and the emotional aspect of Captain America. And so it's like both of them together are basically Captain America in their own right. And it's just the villains. I'm so glad that Zemo is back. Zemo is such a really good, really good villain, and he was only used just but a little bit. And I'm hoping that they use him way more in this. And I'm excited for some plot twists. I'm looking for those.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, still my favorite line in the MCU is when Sam was talking to Nick Fury and was like, "Hey, don't look at me. I do everything he does, just
Just
slower."
slower. That shit, that was. I saw that. I was like, yo, that's the best line in the movie. Yeah.
Love that
I
line.
do everything he does, just slower, man. Oh man. But I want to thank everybody for joining us for this pre-show discussion about all of our predictions, all of our thoughts, feelings about the upcoming Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'd like to thank my buddy, the Political Shield, for joining us, Mr. Chad Douglas. You can catch him on Facebook. What day is live, brother?
Friday at 8 p.m.
Friday at 8 p.m. Oh, he's gonna have a day. He's gonna have a day that day because he's gonna be up in the morning watching stuff with me, and then he's gonna do that later on. But yeah, Friday at 8 p.m. Facebook Live. Follow him. A lot of great stuff that he talks about. If you're into politics and just real talk about America and things like, or just world politics like that. Him and his lovely wife Teresa, my sister-in-law. They talk about that, and it's really good stuff. You should watch it and give a shout out. And if you guys are new, subscribe to this channel and like this video if you enjoyed it. And if you want to see more Marvel stuff and Falcon Winter Soldier stuff, you come right here. Every Friday, we are going to react to it, and it'll be on the same day. And at the end of the 6 episodes, we're going to do a post show as usual, like we did with WandaVision. And we're going to geek out and talk about all the stuff. So until then, guys, I wonder how should we end this one off? I want to think of a line from one of those movies.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I'm with you until the end of the line.
That's right. On your left, buddy. All right. We'll see you guys in a couple of days. Peace.